What we're seeing in Venezuela on TV is a very good example of what happens to a country or what can happen to a country when they vote to get rid of their guns. Hey everybody, I'm Chad Hasty, host of the Chad Hasty Show, which airs weekday mornings 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 a.m. KFYO. Well, if you've been paying any attention at all, you've seen the images coming out of Venezuela where the opposition to the Maduro government is trying to cause a coup or an uprising, whatever you may want to call it, but they're having to do so without the use of firearms. This from the Daily Caller, and it's a very good reminder of why the Second Amendment here in the United States is so very important. Venezuela banned private citizens from owning guns just 7 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago, leaving firearms solely in the hands of the army and the police, now as the country's opposition attempts to oust the oppressive Maduro regime from power. It's a decision that some have come to regret. Listen, Venezuela is a dumpster fire. There's absolutely no disagreement on that right now. The socialist dictator is attempting to hold on to power and doing everything he can to hold on to power, including running over his citizens and killing his own citizens who are in opposition to him. There was a clip on MSNBC, that's right, MSNBC of all places, of an expert who said, well, they gave up their guns in Venezuela about 7 years ago, and when the military is the only people who have firearms, the only people who have guns, there's not much you can do except for run and throw rocks and protest. And that's the point about the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment was not created for you and I to go and hunt. The Second Amendment was not even really there to protect your own piece of property, though that's a very good reason to have the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment lives in the U.S. Constitution because of what could happen from the government. Now, I'm not saying the U.S. is going to turn into the Maduro government at any time in the near future, but it could. 7 years ago, I bet a lot of Venezuelans didn't think that their own government would turn on them, and now look what's happened. It can happen just like that. Just that quickly, a tyrannical government can rise up. And that's why the Second Amendment here in the United States must be preserved and protected. You have folks like Kamala Harris and Beto O'Rourke and Bernie Sanders and other Democrats and other socialists who are wanting to get rid of the Second Amendment, who want to gut the Second Amendment, and it would cause harm to this country, and it would harm the ability of citizens in this country to protect ourselves and to protect this nation if we ever had to against forces within our own government. I'm not sitting here to tell you to rise up and revolt and take back Washington, D.C., but I am telling you this. Cherish the Second Amendment. Hold on to the Second Amendment, because one thing that I do not want to see in this country is what we're seeing in Venezuela play out on the streets here in the United States. Tune in to the Chad Hasty Show weekday mornings, 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 a.m. KFYO.